It's all happening at the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store, and you can go there right now at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. Lots of good new items, brand new, designed by yours truly. So please head to the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store now. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Wednesday, February the 24th, 2021. On this edition of the Politicrat,
he was wearing a seatbelt.
Did he have lacerations as well as the leg?
If he did, I was not able to see them due to his clothing.
You've seen a lot of car accidents. Do you think this type of car saved his life, or do you think like a cheaper car is like you wouldn't have had a good?
As mentioned by the sheriff, that specific stretch of roadway is one of our trouble spots. Our locals in Rancho Palos Verdes and Rolling Hills Estates know that it's a hot spot for traffic collisions as well as speed. In my experience as a deputy who is traffic trained and works a traffic car, I have seen many collisions. The nature of his vehicle, the fact that he was wearing a seatbelt, I would say that it greatly increased the likelihood that it saved his life.
Is this the worst accident you've seen on that stretch?
I will say no, because I've been doing this for a while and I've seen fatal traffic collisions. So I will say that it's very fortunate that Mr. Woods was able to come out of this alive.
that was Carlos Gonzalez, a deputy at the Los Angeles County's Sheriff's Office, speaking yesterday during a press conference about the moments that he encountered Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods severely injured in a car crash in Rancho Palos Verdes in suburban Los Angeles, California, yesterday morning. It was a horrifying wreck, and by all accounts, Tiger Woods is extraordinarily fortunate to be alive today. That's the focus. Life. Mr. Woods, his family, and life in general for the rest of us. Coming up next.
Seated in the driver's seat, I made contact.
Could you speak to that question? There's an LA County fire captain who says that Tiger Woods was able to stand as they assisted him out of the vehicle. Is there any truth to the idea that he was able to stand?
Unfortunately, Mr. Woods was not able to stand under his own power. Our partners at LA County Fire were able to extricate him from the vehicle, and they put him onto a backboard. When I arrived on the scene, Mr. Woods was seated in the driver's seat. I made contact with him, and I ensured that he was able to speak to me. At that time, he seemed that as though he was still calm and lucid. I made the determination that it would be safer to wait for LA County Fire to help remove him instead of trying to remove him myself. I kept Mr. Woods calm until LA County Fire arrived on scene.
What did you do to keep him calm, Deputy?
I spoke to him. I asked.
Conversation. Can you share it with us, please?
I asked him what his name was. He told me his name was Tiger, and at that moment I immediately recognized him. I asked him if he knew where he was, what time of day, just to make sure he was oriented. He seemed as though he was lucid and calm.
Was he concerned about his injuries?
He didn't seem concerned of his injuries at the time, which is not uncommon in traffic collisions. Many times people tend to be in shock. It's a traumatic experience, so it's not uncommon for people to be focused on unimportant things, or even if they are in pain, they might not feel it until much later.
Welcome back. That was Deputy Carlos Gonzalez, the deputy sheriff at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office, the Alameda County Division, or I should say the Alameda Station Division of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Gonzalez was talking about the initial moments in which he encountered one Eldrick Tiger Woods, the, of course, golfer, and you know who he is, and how he encountered him and what he said to him, and the condition of Tiger Woods. I am not going to be mentioning a lick about golf or sport or whether Tiger Woods is going to play golf again in his life. I really do not think that is of any importance whatsoever, even to Tiger Woods at this point, quite frankly. And I just do not think that, I do not care a whit about if he plays golf again. I could give a damn about it, quite frankly. And forgive me for being so callously brutal and dismissive, but golf doesn't mean jack shit, and pardon my French, when you almost were killed. And what means something is your life. What means something is your family, your children, your spouse. And I mean, this is what counts. Nobody cares right now, apart from maybe people who just care about golf, and I want to see him on the golf course again. I want to see him on the links again, I mean, that kind of thing. That's the entertain me crowd, the shut up and dribble crowd, the kinds of people that you know of. I'm not going to mention their names. Or just any ordinary person. They don't care about the person's life. They just care about entertain me, dribble that ball, putt, sink that putt, score that goal in the Premier League or wherever league, hit that ball for a winner down the line in tennis. They don't care about the person. They just care, entertain me. I don't care about whether you live or die, basically, as long as you dribble a ball for me. There's always a cross-section of people like that. So those people are going to be disappointed if any of that type of person is listening in for some reason to this particular episode of this particular podcast. They are going to be disappointed because I am not going to say a whit about golf. And people who on certain news networks, ESPN, who are worried more about whether Tiger Woods is going to pick up a golf club again and swing it and all of that. I mean, give me a break. And people who are much more interested in, the condition of the car. And how many times, dear listener, did I have to listen to that? While people were so interested in, the car looked horrific, and they spent more time talking about the condition of the car than they did the condition of Tiger Woods. You had people talking about him talking about him in the past tense, as if he was no longer here. I mean, people do some very, very strange things. Then you had reporters at the press conference, of which I've played excerpts of Deputy Gonzalez, as you've just heard, asking stupid questions like, did he feel pain? Was there any indication that he felt pain? How was he? Was he crying? Was he in pain? And all of that, I don't know who asked that question. I heard the question. I didn't see the reporter's face. And it was a male reporter. I don't know if the reporter was black, white, Latino. I don't think he was black. That's my guess. And you can't always tell the race of a person who is a reporter or anybody that you cannot see. You can't always get that correct. You can be stunningly wrong. But my guess is that a black person did not ask that question. And whether I'm wrong or right is, but the reason I say this before I get to the more important matter, which is Tiger Woods and his family, and also us by extension, is because even the question like that, did he feel pain? What was his pain? Then someone actually asked this question. What was his pain threshold? That's what was asked at that press conference. And it runs into that racist stereotype about black people and, they cannot feel pain. And that's, very well, the racism of that statement and the racist attitudes of doctors who allow black people to die in hospital because, oh, you're okay. You don't have to worry about pain, Serena Williams. You don't have to worry about pain, Dr. Susan Moore. And all Dr. Susan Moore, a black woman, did, a black doctor did, in her dying days was post Facebook video after Facebook video after Facebook video, talking and complaining about, look, these medical doctors in my own profession do not give two, she didn't use the word, but I'm using it, fucks about me, my life, my well-being, and told me to basically sleep it off, and they didn't care about her. And one of their own, a fellow doctor, they allowed her to die. Die. Oh, because you're a black woman, you can tolerate pain. Oh, black people are made of steel, and yet there's no black Man of Steel Superman cast. Where's the black Superman? Where's the black Man of Steel in the cape? Oh, but you all can, you can deal with pain. And that's what that question. And I wish I could have isolated audio of the question so you could hear it for yourself. But if you go and dial up the full press conference on your YouTubes, on your tweets, or on your onlines, you will hear that question asked, uttered. It's just absolutely unreal. So forgive me for one of my usual diversions, temporary though it may be. This is the racist attitude that permeates a lot of people's minds and hearts. His pain threshold. I mean, that shows you that mirrors the attitude of a larger, racist, violent, white society, quite frankly. That says that you black folk are inhuman and you can feel nothing. I mean, that's really where that is deeply rooted from. And I don't care whether that particular reporter actually thought that when he was asking it or not. I don't care whether he would have asked someone white the same thing or not. The fact of the matter is, when that question is asked of somebody black, there is something deeper behind it. It's just an absurd question. Was he crying? I mean, that was the other part of that question was he in tears? Was he crying? I mean, really, that's the question that you, as a credentialed press reporter, asks. Really? That's the question you ask? The young man almost died. And the question that you have for the sheriff's deputy is, was Tiger Woods in tears? Was he crying? That's your question? What was his pain threshold? And quite frankly, by the way, that is a disregard of human life from where the perspective of that question even comes from. It reveals and it evinces a casual disregard for human life. A question like that. I really do want you to think about what I just said. That sounds like someone who cares more about their dog than they do about a human being. And yes, I know there's many people out there who do care more about dogs. And I'm sure one of you or all of you, or many of you, have pets, have dogs, and yes, you say, oh, dogs, they're so much nicer than human beings. And yeah, I guess a lot of that is true in some instances. I prefer human beings, quite frankly, but there are lots of people who do not. And I get it. The inhumanity of humankind, yes, is revealing and scathing enough. But have you seen some dog owners lately all your life? You know, the particular dog owners that allow their dogs to walk all over creation and don't say sorry when their dog comes all over you and jumps on you and laughs and like they do out here in San Francisco, and they laugh, and the owner just laughs at you and doesn't tell their dog to stop, doesn't apologize to you. You know that attitude, that entitled dog owner, usually someone white. I've not ever seen this from black or brown folk, but I have seen it from white folk, and I've been the recipient of it too many goddamn times, so you can understand why my tone of voice throws a few gods and damns in the sentences I speak. It is the entitlement, the selfishness, and the what I call racist attitudes of these white dog walkers and owners. Really the dog owners, not the dog walkers. They seem to be a lot more considerate. And then I go back to that reporter. He would not have asked that of a dog if a dog got hurt. If Tiger Woods was driving that vehicle and Tiger Woods had a dog in it, I bet you anything that that reporter would not have asked about what the dog's pain threshold was. You got to excuse me here. I have absolutely had it with some of these people who ask the dumbest ass questions. And whether you like Tiger Woods or whether you don't is immaterial in terms of this specific, well, maybe it's not. But for you, it's not. But for me, it is. Because it's a person's life. And he has a family. He has, I believe he has a girlfriend or fiance. At the moment, he has an ex-wife who he's had children with. He has his beloved son, Charlie, and he has, I believe, other kids. I'm not 100% on that. I believe so. With his previous wife, his former wife. I mean, and it's not that the guy's a celebrity. Of course, one of the reasons I'm talking about it is because he's prominent. But, and I'm the one that talks about cult of personality, so listen to me, Mr. Hypocrite Extraordinaire here, talking about, one day I decry the cult of personality, which I still decry. Today, the next minute, I'm talking about Tiger Woods. But I think it would be pretty brutally negligent of me not to talk about this. Let me reframe and get back to Tiger Woods now, and not some foolish reporters or some a band of entitled racist, in my view, white dog owners. At least these ones. There's some white dog owners that have been really nice with their dogs, and they apologize if their dog gets a little out of hand and, jumps all over the place and all of that on the sidewalk. The responsible people who pick up poop after their dog and clean up, those people are decent, fine. And their dogs are lovely. And I actually am a dog person. You wouldn't believe that from the last 3.5 minutes that you've heard, but it's absolutely true. I'm a dog person all the way. What I don't like is certain dog owners who are disrespectful. Well, any dog owner, I have certain dog owners, that's anybody, black, white, whomever. The dog owners who are rude and disrespectful, who allow their dogs to just run all over creation. And these are the people, some of them, who say they hate human beings or they don't like human beings. And look what they allow their dogs to do. I mean, I wonder if any of them come off like Amy Cooper. Did you see the way she treated her dog during that little episode almost a year ago? Well, it wasn't a little episode. She could have had a young black man killed. And did you see how she was treating her dog? She obviously doesn't like people. And obviously doesn't like black people specifically. And certainly doesn't like dogs either. So what is she doing with one? I mean, she practically lynched the dog that she had there in that video. I cannot watch that video. Because not only, of course, is this brother being threatened with his life because this white woman is lying to the police on the phone, or the dispatcher she calls. And by the way, gets the charges dropped last week because she attended some racial sensitivity training. Gets the charges dropped. Oh, what a wonderful life. Oh, to be white and privileged. Oh, I can just do a few racial sensitivity training courses and I get the charges dropped. Isn't that a life? Oh, wouldn't you trade your life for that? No, I wouldn't actually. Well, yeah, the dog. I mean, she practically lynched that dog. And I don't know if she was trying to send a message to Christian Cooper, the black man who was bird watching there in Central Park last year in New York City. But she certainly sent a message. And the system rewarded her with the message by dropping the charges from her case. That's not great. Good grief. I'll be right back, and I will focus on Eldrick Tiger Woods next. Welcome back. So now that I've calmed down, now that I've got that out of my system, let's turn to something. Well, let's turn to the central theme of this episode on this Wednesday, and that is Tiger Woods, and that he is very, very lucky indeed, very fortunate. I don't like the word luck or lucky. There's something about that word that, not that it irks me, it doesn't. It's as if, oh, he's lucky. No, he's fortunate. He is very, very fortunate to be alive. And you'd have to think, if you were someone of a spiritual persuasion, or someone specifically who believes in a higher power, to those who are listening to this, you know that someone was looking out for him. Someone was looking out for Eldrick Tiger Woods yesterday morning. There's no question about it in my mind as someone who does believe in a higher power. I'm not a religious person. I do know some of the Bible. I am a Christian. And I do know of the Bible, and I know a few bits and pieces, if you will, chapters and verses, not a whole lot. But I do believe in a higher power. And I certainly believe that a higher power was watching over him, Mr. Tiger Woods, yesterday. I mean, the seatbelt saved his life, obviously, so he did most of the job himself. But even with seatbelts, when you are in a vehicle and you're driving and you get into a wreck like that one, that was plastered all over your television or your TVs, if you have a phone, because that's a television as well, you know. And there was something more than a seatbelt. At least that's just my opinion, my humble opinion, or maybe not so humble. There was something more than just a seatbelt that saved his life. Because we've seen this time and time again, and I'm not just talking about celebrities. I am talking about anybody, any human being, someone you know, who may have been in a car crash or a wreck of some kind and did not make it out alive. I know of people personally who that happened to. You know, no longer with us. And I hate to sound like I'm being very casual about it, because I'm not intending that. I only mark that as a barometer of sometimes fortune and maybe perhaps some divine intervention smiles on you, and maybe sometimes it doesn't. And I hate to sound so glib and reductionist, but then I could get into all kinds of philosophical questions about why this person survives and that one doesn't. And I'm not talking even on the basis of an institutionalized systemic anti-blackness or any of the kinds of things that system-wise compels those kinds of outcomes in many cases. But what I am referencing, dear listener, is a sense of chance. What were the chances of Tiger Woods or anybody, you, me, anyone we know, driving through Rancho Palos Verdes in Southern California, just a little south of metropolitan Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles? I mean, I know people near where that accident took place. And what are the chances that we would have survived something like that? Of course, there's probably no way of us knowing. I mean, somebody asked a question about, well, if he hadn't had a good enough car, he got loaned a vehicle from, and I didn't even get into this. He was there for a tournament, the Genesis tournament, which is, I think, part of his foundation, the Tiger Woods Foundation. And he hosts the tournament, and he was there over the weekend, and they had loaned him this SUV that he was driving in. And it was a 2021 model SUV. And he was playing golf in the area with David Spade, the celebrity actor comedian, and also with Dwayne Wade, the NBA superstar athlete and commentator now. I think he's retired from the game now. Dwayne Wade announced his retirement, I think, last year, and you can see him on TNT, Turner Network Television, not Turner Classic Movies. Although he might be in a Turner Classic movie at some point, Dwayne Wade, the Hall of Fame basketballer for sure. He's going to be Hall of Fame player. But Dwayne Wade can be seen on TNT Inside the NBA on Tuesday nights. And Dwayne Wade posted something, a video on Instagram, and I think the Golf Channel reposted this as well. Listen to this. This is from Monday.
So I told you I was about to do something amazing today, and I got an opportunity. I say the GOAT, he's not comfortable with it, but that opportunity to come out here with this guy right here, man. Tiger, thank you for teaching me something. How good am I, or how bad am I?
Good.
I'm not good. I'm sorry for using that.
We're getting better.
We're getting better.
We're getting better.
So everybody be on the lookout. I got some lessons today from what I think is the GOAT, but Tiger Woods. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
You got it.
So there you go. That was Dwayne Wade on his Instagram account on Monday. Just 2 days ago, when Tiger was in the very same area playing golf. He was actually doing a shoot for Golf Digest, or Golf TV, or whatever it was. And I think he was supposed to be doing that again yesterday. And he was on his way to it, but he had been doing this TV shoot for celebrities. And Dwayne Wade and David Spade were at least two of the celebrities that he. Well, there's only one athlete between the two of David Spade and Dwayne Wade. And guess which one is the athlete between the two of them? But the point is that there was a television shoot going on for Golf TV. And that was why, one of the other reasons why Tiger was in the Los Angeles area in Southern California, giving lessons to Dwayne Wade and David Spade. And apparently Tiger himself didn't play. And so that video was posted on Monday on Dwayne Wade's Instagram account. And that was his video, and that was the voice you heard, both Dwayne Wade and Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was not, apparently, and he's joking around, not pleased with Dwayne Wade's golf game. Oh, I said I wouldn't talk about golf, but I did. So I apologize for betraying you, dear listener, on that occasion. I just wanted to add a little bit of context here. Because, again, within a day or so of that video, Tiger Woods ended up in this really horrible predicament, driving. You may have heard the deputy say earlier, Deputy Carlos Gonzalez, the sheriff's deputy, that there's a stretch of road there in Rancho Palos Verdes, Rancho Palos Verdes, a stretch of road that is very dangerous, notoriously so. It's a focal point of accidents and car wrecks and all kinds of things. And again, as I said earlier, what are the chances? What are the chances of survival? Well, again, Tiger was very fortunate. The accident happened just after 7 a.m. Pacific U.S. time on Tuesday morning, and it happened so fast, I would imagine, and Tiger Woods had to be extricated out of the vehicle. And it was not jaws of life. That was misreported. See, this is why there's a lot of nonsense that flies around on Twitter and everywhere else. And you just can't jump to the first thing you see. Although sometimes some of the most accurate reporting actually does come early. TMZ now has taken over the entire market with all of this. TMZ, which seems to get almost everything right these days. I mean, they're there before anybody because they're snooping around. Well, it's very lazy and easy for me to say that. But hey, 9 times out of 10, they're first and they're correct. In fact, 9.9 times out of 10, they are first and they are correct. 9.9 out of 10. So they must be doing something right over there at TMZ. I mean, when TMZ is your lead on all of this kind of stuff, it tells you where the rest of journalism is, doesn't it? And I'm not even trying to knock TMZ there so much as I am saying that the level of the news today, as I've said umpteen times, I've bored you to tears with this assessment, that the corporate news media in the United States, and I dare say probably in lots of other countries or some other countries, is an absolute disaster. It does not give you the news. It gives you opinion. Heck, of course, this podcast is opinion, but I'm not a broadcaster and I don't represent or hold myself out to be a journalist. Right? So there's a difference. There is a difference. And people who hold themselves out to be journalists and news organizations that talk about themselves being the most trusted name in news should be delivering news, not opinion, because there's more punditry now on than there is real news anymore. Or at least half and half. And I remember the days where it was all news. Just the facts, ma'am. I remember when headline news, in the 80s and 90s, headline news came about. And you had actual news. Now headline news is a bunch of, fill in the blank. But the bottom line here is that there was some reporting that was completely inaccurate early on. Tiger Woods now, what is true and what is accurate is that he is in serious condition in hospital. I believe it's at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. He had surgery on some extremely or very serious leg injuries. The reports in some quarters were saying that he had broken both his legs, apparently. And that's just very serious stuff. Now, anyone who has gone through these kinds of things knows exactly what that's about and what that is and how that must feel. And it's just awful. It's awful. It's awful. And all I want to say right now, really, before going any further is I do wish the utmost sincere best to Tiger Woods and to his girlfriend and his children and his family overall in general, as they all go through this very difficult moment. And I wish Tiger Woods all the very best of health and best of life and extended to all of his family as well, not just through these difficult times, but beyond. And I felt that way before this accident, but it's important to say that now, of course, that I feel that way even more so, and for he and his family, because this is a very difficult thing. And for anybody who goes through this or any other kind of challenge like this, or even not like this, but there is a tremendous challenge and a potential life-changing event. I don't care how much money you've got or don't have. When you are involved in a very serious accident as this one was, or a very serious health challenges, I'm sure some of you have experienced yourselves or know of people very close to you, have people very close to you who have gone or are still going through this now, currently going through this. It's very, very serious. It's very trying. It's very difficult. It's very stressful, and it causes a lot of pain. And a lot of the mental health comes into this and all the other things. And your whole world changes, and it can be life-changing. And I just hope that for he and his family, and for anyone else out there right now, including anybody who's listening to this podcast, who has a really difficult life challenge going on in their lives, whether it's been continuous from years and years, or whether it's just begun, or whether it's potential, or whatever you may be going through. I do wish you also, of course, the very best of health and life, and to you and your families. That's important to say, because I mean that, and it's very important. You have a community, hopefully, around you, people who support you. And if you don't, there are people out in the world who support you and who believe in you. And one of them is talking to you right now. Welcome back. One of the things I wish to add to what I said regarding Tiger Woods specifically is that I wish him all the best in his surgery. I hope that the surgery went very well for him. I hope that Tiger is able to recover. And I'm not going to use the word speedy, because in this case, when you've got two broken legs, that is not a speedy recovery situation. I know people who have broken their legs, and you know people who have broken their legs. Perhaps you yourself have broken your leg or legs or some other part of your body, and it takes months to recover. I've had situations where it's taken me months, an athletic injury, and it took months, and not nearly an injury nearly as bad as Tiger's injuries as bad, but I've had athletic injuries, playing sports or working out, and it takes time. If it's serious, or even if it's certainly not as serious as Tiger, it takes a long time, and you've really got to dedicate yourself. And Tiger Woods will do that, but I just wish him all the very best, and I just hope that he has come through the surgery okay, and that he recovers after that, because that's the critical part, is obviously the surgery and then post-surgery. Those are the two, I would say, and I'm not a doctor. I know some doctors, but I am not a doctor. I'm an attorney, but not a doctor. And I know that the two of the most critical phases in these recoveries are, surgeries, operations, post-op. And what steps are taken in the post-op phase, the post-surgery phase, that the person needs maximum support, not just physically, but emotionally. And that's where the family becomes ever more critical, right? Because when you get right down to it, as Al Green would say in the tremendous song called Simply Beautiful, when you get right down to it, it's family and loved ones, and any true good friend that you've got who's solid, or plural, friends plural. Not that you should have 1 million friends, because I don't know that really does much of anything, but those 3 or 4 or even 5 people. It doesn't have to be 20 people. It can be just the 2, 3, 4, 5 people who you know are true friends, who will run through a proverbial brick wall for you, right? Those kinds of individuals, and you would do the same for them. This is a two-way street, and you can count those kinds of people in your life on one hand. And so that's the thing with Tiger Woods now. One of the things as with any human being, the support network is then going to be a major, major part of that post-op phase. And of course, the physical therapy and the recovery and all that. And whatever happens, it's a very vulnerable time, very vulnerable obviously for the person, in this case, Tiger Woods, and for the family members, because they will need to, and I'm sure they will, and I'm sure they're already doing this, gather around him and protect him and lift him and just be there for him in every moment, because it's difficult. And I just wish all of them the very best, and I really hope that they all come through this. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. I am just thankful that I'm just thankful that the lad is alive. Quite frankly, I am thankful that he's alive. Because of all that we've dealt with, we've had over 500,000 people gone dead from coronavirus in the United States. 500,000 plus people. And with all of these people who are leaving us, whether they are celebrities or not, but particularly these hallowed figures like a Cicely Tyson, and I can name all the others as well, but she's the one that instantly comes to mind. With all of these individuals leaving us, and I get it, she was 96 years of age, I believe, 95, 96, so she definitely lived a lovely, long, robust life. But still, and with what we've seen in the sporting world of people passing away just over a year ago now, just a year and a month, almost a year and a full month ago, almost a year and a month ago now, we know about what happened with Kobe Bryant passing away in that horrific helicopter crash not too far away from where it's probably about a 40-minute drive without the standard LA traffic from where Tiger Woods' crash occurred and where Kobe Bryant's fatal helicopter crash occurred. So this is, again, this is, well, the first order of business for anybody now, and I'm going to move to us, you and me, all of us. This shows, again, we get these reminders. We have been told over the last 12 plus months in no uncertain terms. And we've been told over and over and over in these last 12 months of how fleeting life truly is. How fleeting life really is. And not only have we been told that over and over and shown that over and over and informed about that over and over, but some of us have experienced that. Some of you have experienced that. And if you look at social media, you will have known that there are some people on social media who are not celebrities who have told you about their losses and who they've lost in their families. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? I mean, yeah, notwithstanding my episode on this podcast back on January 2nd or 3rd, I think it's January 2nd, where I talked about the ethics and the, questioning the whole idea of announcing these kinds of things on social media platforms. But, again, people will do that, and you can only offer them words of support, really, rather than anything else. But life is fleeting. I mean, we know that. You know that. I know that. We know that. And when I heard about Tiger Woods, I mean, I thought it was just some nonchalant accident. Even when I saw the vehicle, I thought it was a nonchalant accident. No, pretty bad looking, but he's okay. And then you come to hear what you hear. And then there may still yet be things that after the recording of this episode that we could find out that could be really horrific, or they might be a bit more uplifting and upbeat for Mr. Woods. But life is fleeting. I mean, that's the lesson, right? We've got to be really careful. And we don't know the circumstances of this crash yet. And the sheriffs were saying right off the top, no, there was no evidence of impairment. But the whole point is that I'm just saying to you, dear listener, that life is fleeting. You know this. I know this. We know this. Coronavirus, any other kind of thing that's been going on the last year or the last however long in human history. Violent crime, the terror attack on January 6th, we've been told over and over, police and civilians being killed, all of these kinds of things, the everyday gun violence that we see in various neighborhoods, some of those black, some of those brown, some of those white, some of those native, some of those Asian. I mean, the day-to-day gun violence that we see in the United States and beyond. Life is fleeting. We've got to take care of ourselves and each other, but particularly take care of ourselves, because when we walk down the street, we don't know whether it's going to be our last day. I mean, I hate to sound maudlin or whatever the word might be that comes to your mind when you hear me say what I just said before. We've really got to take stock of life. Not that we're not doing that, not that you're not doing that, not that I'm not doing that, but I think all of these events that have occurred over the last 12 or 13 months or so are reminders to take stock and, be grateful for the positive things in your life, which I'm sure that any person listening to me is. And yes, there are challenges that we're going through, challenges individually that we may be going through, you may be going through, I may be, whatever, whomever. But there are positives as well that we can hopefully look at in our lives, in our moments, and say, yeah, I've got this, I've got that, I'm going okay here, something good's happening there. I hope that we can all do that. And if we can't do that, we will have to draw upon either inner resources and strength, or for some of you who believe in the power of prayer, or for some of you who would love to ensconce yourself with positive people and good friends, then yes, then you should do that. Because that's what friends are for, right? Dionne Warwick, Elton John and Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder. That's what friends are for. Dionne Warwick, by the way, wow. She has become a great sensation on Twitter. And this is, most people, I guess some of the youth, excuse me, some of the youth on Twitter may not remember such great hits as Walk On By, or Do You Know the Way to San Jose, or, but they're probably going to be discovering those in the next 5 minutes or so. Great tunes among many others. And then the 80s days later on for Dionne Warwick, the reprise of the Bee Gees' Heartbreaker. Go listen to that tune as well. Life is fleeting. Life is fleeting. And I know that, this is a serious thing, and I'm not going to sit here happy clappy about these kinds of things. We've seen more than enough over the last 13 months, and some people have seen more than enough in their lifetimes of loss to know what that is and how life is fleeting. And we just got to be taking stock of our lives and be aware of your surroundings. I know that sounds perhaps paranoiac. It is not, though. I'm saying this based on my own experiences, quite frankly. It's awfully selfish. But it is hopefully to pass on something that maybe you don't hear from other people, when they do their podcasts? I don't know. But I know you know this already. But I also think it's good to repeat the obvious because you just should say the things that are obvious. Like the person you love, you tell them you love them. Or the people that you love, you know, your wife, your husband, your spouse, your partner, your children. You tell them that you love them and tell them it every day. And maybe you came from a household where that was not something that was said out loud to you. But maybe you can do that if you haven't. Maybe you can't because they're family members that you have that are reprehensible and have done really awful things. And so that may not be the kind of thing that you can feel free to say to them. But I guess what I'm scrambling around to say to you, dear listener, is that we have to take these moments and take stock of the moments that we have, which is so interesting because on Twitter yesterday at the Popcorn REEL, I actually tweeted out the following phrase, which I just made up, but it's the truth. Every hour is an opportunity. I kid you not, I said that. Tweeted that rather on Twitter yesterday. Every hour is an opportunity. And literally 1 hour after that came the news of Tiger Woods in the horrific accident and how he was seriously injured. I kid you not, dear listener. Within an hour of that tweet, the news came down. Every hour is an opportunity. And I did say before that in a previous tweet to that. Ask yourself, what are you doing with every hour of your day? And it's a sensitive question. It's perhaps even an arrogant question. Depending on who's asking it, I'm asking it, but you could look at the question that I'm asking as an arrogant one. That I'm perched up here on my ivory tower, which I don't have an ivory tower, but some people might think I do. And I'm looking down on the minions and saying, what are you doing with your day? That might be the way it sounds to somebody listening to this podcast. It might be the way it sounds to you. I don't know. But when I tweet things like this, I really do tweet them with a sincere earnestness and concern and care, a caring attitude. And that may be cold comfort or consolation or nothing at all to it may mean nothing to anybody. But, dear listener, it's a function of asking you a question that you may not have been asked. You may not know anyone who asks you questions like, what do you do with each hour of your day? How do you mark time for yourself? Maybe none of your inner circle ever asks you questions like that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But it's about really looking inward and challenging yourself. How do you make use of your time, particularly now in this pandemic? How do you make use of your time? And then I said the question could be very sensitive because there are people, as I've alluded to, who may be in very serious predicaments. Maybe in very serious. So for me, it might sound very callous of yours truly to be asking a question like that, which is why I prefaced it by saying it's a sensitive question for some. No doubt. Because their whole day is occupied with taking care of somebody, perhaps. Because their whole day is occupied by, I don't know, looking for employment. I don't know. Dealing with domestic violence situations? I don't know. So I do ask that question, but I take full account of the ambit and the context in which a question like that even gets asked. And it is done with the sincere and utmost care and concern. I really, really must convey that to you. So time is so fleeting, and what we do with our time is so important. I'm not saying that you have to structure everything. So cleanly and crisply. You've got to have time for yourself and for the people you love in this world, for the people who care, that you care about. You've got to have time for that, and that doesn't have to be structured, but you've got to spend time with those people. You've got to spend time with yourself. Get to know who you are as a person. Treasure those moments of silence that you have. And I'm not talking about moments of silence to mourn someone's passing. I'm talking about moments of silence where you can read a little bit, have a book, not an audio book, an actual book. I'm such a book snob. I don't like audio books, you see. But you've got to have that time for yourself. Invest a little time in you and spend time with other people that you really love and care about. Communicate with them, preferably over a visual medium, but if not, phone will be fine, thank you. Really, get in touch with that person you haven't talked to in months. And yeah, you can text them, but you really should be calling them and talking to them. And really, when you walk around outside, if you dare to do so, with all of these variants of COVID-19 flying all over the place, please, A, wear 2 masks. Could you do that for me, please? Yours truly, dear listener, is asking you to wear not 1, but dos masks, 2 masks. And can you also take a look around and check your surroundings every now and again? And if you're going to walk out there and walk around with headphones on, typically either, whatever it is, the on-ear headphones or the in-ear AirPods or whichever types of headphones you use. If you're using AirPods, the Apple ones, I'm not trying to plug Apple. If you are walking around with those kinds of headphones on, those particular AirPod ones though, please only use one of those headphones, those AirPods. Don't use both. Because you're walking around with some kind of music or some kind of program in your ears and you've got both of those things on and you're walking. Don't cut off one of your senses completely. Please. Can you do that for me? If you don't even if you don't do it for yourself, can you do it for me? I want to make sure that you are alert and aware of your surroundings. And this goes for wherever you are in the world. This is not just the US of A I'm talking about. I'm talking about anywhere. When you jog and you go for a morning jog or an afternoon jog or an evening jog or midnight jog or whatever, a midnight walk or a mid-morning walk or early morning walk or whatever that you do it during the day if it's in broad daylight, please only use one of those AirPods. Because you really do completely cut off your senses. If you cut off your hearing completely. And I see so many people with both AirPods in their ears and they have absolutely no idea what's going on around them. I had a situation like this the other day. I'm walking and there was someone, and I forget where this was in San Francisco. And there's a woman there. She's walking and I think she's by herself. And I don't remember, or maybe she had a child with her. And she had these she was by herself. She had these these AirPods in her ears. And they were in both ears, I could tell, because she had turned left and right and you can see the white thing sticking out of her ears. And then she went back to what she was doing. Her back was turned to me. I'm walking toward her. And she, you get that sense when someone's near you. And she turned around and she jumped. She's startled. And it's like, when and I don't know, and again, and this is a white woman too, so I don't know if it was she's startled because there's this impulse in her that's racist that says, oh, black man, oh my God. I've had so many of those here in San Francisco, I could write a book about them. I could write a book about the number of times that has happened. And no other type of woman has ever done that. At least not outwardly. They literally jump. But this particular woman had both of her AirPods in. And I see men do this too. And they've got no idea what's going on around them. None. They've completely shut the world out. And you can't do that anymore, sad to say. I mean, I've had this people, you turn around and then all of a sudden someone's right behind you. I don't know if that's a San Francisco thing or just an idiot thing where they're just people who are just, complete whats or what. But I just want you to please be aware of your surroundings. And it's not about being paranoid. It's about being a little safer to the extent that you can be safer in a world like this crazy one. But if you are going to do jogging or just walking or whatever, please don't put both earphones in, both headphones in, both, AirPods. Don't do that. I mean, if you're walking with one person or two people, that's different. If you're jogging with one or two people, that's different. But if you're doing that and you're doing it by yourself, it's just not a smart thing. And then you've got people who do all kinds of things. And I just want you to be safe because I care. So there. so there, okay? I care. I'm a sensitive man. I care, damn it. At least I can say that and not feel funny or strange about it. Every one of us has feelings. Some of us don't show them. That's all. I'm not one of those individuals who bottles up every feeling. I don't do that. So there you go. So there. No. It's like, oh dear. We are here. And we are only here for a few short minutes. And as Danny Glover said in the film Grand Canyon, we don't mean shit to that rock over there. We're a speck of dust to that rock. I'm paraphrasing. He says that to Kevin Kline or somebody in Grand Canyon, the movie from 1991. So kind of Danny Glover's character in that film is correct, though. We are only here for a bit. We, in the grand scheme of things, we've been here for 5 minutes as a human species. We've been here for 5 minutes compared to those rocks in the Grand Canyon that have, I'm not going to even go there, but we've only been here for a few minutes. So I think the least we can do is have a little compassion for each other. Something that I say now and again. And let's look out for each other, but let's also take care of ourselves too, by the way. A little self-care, a little self-love, love yourself, love who you are, be proud of yourself, damn it. Love yourself, love yourself, be proud of who you are. I mean, I know it's not easy. It's easier said here on this podcast than done, right? Because a lot of people have very difficult challenges with self-esteem and insecurities that are rife. And I don't say that with any desire to plunge a knife into anybody's back or anything, but I'm just simply saying what is very true out in the universe. And maybe someone bristles when I say be proud of yourself. Maybe somebody rejects that furiously for their own disposition indicates that they feel the opposite way about themselves. And I can't psychoanalyze that. But I can only say here that you are stronger than you think you are. And you are better than you think you are. And life is always around you and in you. So while you have those two important things, make the best of the time that you have. Reach out. Touch the people you've not touched with phone calls, with communication of some kind, and live a life-affirming life. And be careful out there. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore.